Welcome to the All Sorts podcast. We're diving deep today, folks, into the world of the Bornean bearded pig.
Fascinating creatures.
Absolutely. And we've got a whole stack of research articles,
Oh, wow.
field observations, even some folklore I hear about these pigs.
Yeah, you know what's so captivating about them is they really defy, our usual image of a pig, right? Like, you think barnyard pig.
Right.
But these guys, they have such a cool look.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so first of all, they have a beard.
They actually have beards.
Yeah, it's not just a cute name.
Wow.
They have these prominent beards, and then they have these long tasseled tails.
Oh, wow.
And, compared to a pot-bellied pig, they're really slender.
Really? Okay, so not your typical pig.
No, not at all. And, all these unique features, they actually puzzled scientists for a long time.
A pig mystery. All right. I'm hooked. Tell me more.
Well, there are all these stories about a giant pig species in Borneo.
A giant pig?
Yeah, huge footprints in the mud, stories passed down over generations. It really seemed like something extraordinary.
So were these giant pigs real?
Well, that's the thing. For a while, those footprints and stories were all scientists had to go on.
Right.
But then genetic studies came along and things started to become a bit clearer.
Okay.
Turns out the Bornean bearded pig, it's closely related to the Palawan bearded pig.
Okay.
And some scientists even think they might be separate species,
Interesting.
But the giant pig, well, it seems like that was more a case of misinterpretation.
So maybe a little bit of legend mixed in with the science?
Exactly. A bit of wishful thinking, perhaps, but science is always evolving.
That's true. So let's talk about where these bearded pigs actually live.
Okay.
What kind of environment are we talking about here?
Well, their habitat is surprisingly diverse.
Okay.
You can find them in these dense rainforests, right?
Wow.
Navigating mangrove swamps.
Really?
They even venture near human settlements sometimes.
Wow. That's not something you typically see with wild pigs.
No, it's pretty unusual.
So what makes them so adaptable?
Well, I think a big part of it is their diet. They're not picky eaters at all.
Right.
They're what we call opportunistic omnivores.
Okay.
So that means fruits, roots, fungi, insects, small animals, you name it. They'll give it a try.
Even carrion?
Even carrion, yep. If it's edible, they're interested.
Wow, that's a diverse palette.
It is, and that's a big reason why they can thrive in so many different habitats.
That makes sense. So are there any habitats that are particularly important for them?
Yeah, definitely. Certain areas are crucial, especially when food is scarce.
Okay.
Peat swamp forests and montane forests are really valuable for them. They provide those key resources they need to get through tough times.
It's like a safety net during those lean periods.
Exactly. And, it's not just about what they eat, it's how they interact with their environment. These pigs are what we call ecosystem engineers.
Ecosystem engineers. That sounds pretty important. What does that mean?
Basically, it means they have a huge impact on the structure of the forest.
Okay.
And the diversity, think of them as like natural landscapers. They're always rooting around, turning over the soil.
Right.
And that creates these patches of bare ground where new seeds can germinate.
So they're helping new plants grow?
Exactly. They're also spreading seeds through their droppings.
Okay.
And even their preference for certain seeds, like they're picky eaters, but that can influence which trees actually flourish in the forest.
Wow, so they're not just surviving in the forest, they're actually shading it.
Exactly. It's like this amazing example of how one animal can have a ripple effect on its entire surroundings.
It really is fascinating. But you mentioned earlier that they can also be a bit of a nuisance to humans sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Wait, you know how resourceful they are with their diet?
Right.
Sometimes that resourcefulness can backfire a bit.
Okay.
When their natural food sources are scarce, they might start raiding crops.
Oh, no.
Causing damage to farms.
I see.
It's kind of that classic human-wildlife conflict,
Yeah, we need to understand both sides to find a solution that works for everybody, right?
Exactly. And speaking of behavior, I'm curious about their social lives.
Yeah. Are they loners or do they live in groups?
Well, they're actually quite social, but
Uh-oh.
not in the way you might think.
Okay, that was
They live in these family groups led by a dominant female
interesting.
and her offspring.
Okay.
But the males, they're often solitary.
Oh, so the males are off doing their own thing.
Yeah, roaming the forest on their own.
A matriarchal society in the pig world, huh?
It's pretty cool. And then when it's time to mate, things get really interesting.
Okay, what happens?
The males will start seeking out females.
Right.
And they have these elaborate courtship rituals.
Like what?
They use pheromones,
Okay.
scent markings, spreading foamy saliva.
Oh,
Some researchers even say they make these chanting sounds.
a chanting pig. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So once a female gets pregnant, she starts building a nest.
A nest.
Yeah, these elevated nests made from vegetation.
Wow.
It's really impressive, and it protects the piglets from predators and the elements.
It's amazing how they've adapted to survive in this challenging environment.
Yeah, they're tough, but we can't ignore the impact humans are having on their world.
Yeah, that's a big one. What are the main threats facing the Bornean bearded pig?
Habitat loss is a major one. Deforestation is a huge problem.
Right.
Forests are cleared for logging agriculture development,
Yeah.
and that shrinks their habitat, fragments their populations.
Makes them more vulnerable.
Exactly. And then there's hunting,
Yeah, that's a big one too.
especially in areas where they're seen as a food source or, for income.
So the classic combination, habitat loss and hunting pressure.
Unfortunately, yeah, but there are conservation efforts underway.
Okay, that's good to hear. What are they doing?
Well, protected areas are important,
Right.
but it's not always enough. We have to consider the needs of local communities.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
We have to manage hunting sustainably and reduce habitat loss at the same time.
Definitely. You mentioned an after the pigs scenario earlier. What would happen if they disappeared?
Imagine a Bornean rainforest without them.
It's hard to picture.
Yeah, it's a scary thought that their absence would impact the whole ecosystem.
How so?
Seed dispersal would be affected.
Right.
The balance of predator and prey relationships could change.
Okay.
Other species would suffer, and for communities who rely on them for food, it could be devastating.
It really shows how interconnected everything is.
Exactly. Losing one species can have huge consequences.
Even one that seems as tough as the Bornean bearded pig.
That's why understanding their biology and the threats they face is so important.
Yeah, we have to act now to protect them.
Absolutely, for their sake and for the sake of the whole rainforest.
So it's not just about protecting them, it's about understanding them right.
Exactly. And there are a lot of researchers working on that right now.
Okay, what are some of the things they're focused on?
Well, they're looking at their behavior,
Okay.
their role in the ecosystem, and how they're impacted by all this human activity,
That makes sense. Are there any specific projects that stand out?
Yeah, there's a really interesting one at Gunung Palung National Park.
Okay.
They're studying how logging is impacting the pigs' migration routes.
Oh, wow.
Because, those migrations are vital.
Yeah.
If those routes are disrupted, the pigs might not be able to find enough food or reproduce effectively.
So understanding those migrations is really key for their survival.
Absolutely. And another fascinating area of research is their role in seed dispersal.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
They're really important for spreading the seeds of certain trees, like the durian.
Durian fruit, that's the one that smells really strong, right?
That's the one. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
But it's a really important tree in the rainforest.
Okay.
And get this, there's even some evidence that the bearded pigs might help spread the seeds of the rafflesia flower.
The rafflesia flower.
That's that giant parasitic one. It's like the world's largest flower.
Oh, yeah. I've seen pictures. It's amazing.
It is, and it has this really pungent odor.
So we've got these pigs spreading the seeds of this giant stinky flower.
Pretty cool, right?
It really highlights how much we still don't know about these animals.
There's so much more to discover.
But, it's great to hear about all this research, but it can feel overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, what can we as individuals actually do to help?
Well, I think the first step is just staying informed.
Okay.
The more you learn about the Bornean bearded pig and the challenges they're facing,
Right.
the more you can make informed choices.
So knowledge is power.
Exactly. And then you can support organizations that are working on the ground in Borneo.
Oh.
There are a lot of great conservation groups out there doing really important work.
Yeah.
Even a small donation can make a difference.
That's something everyone can do. So what about our everyday choices? Can we do anything there?
Absolutely. Being a mindful consumer is huge.
Okay.
Like when you're buying products that come from forests like wood or palm oil, look for sustainable options. Things that don't contribute to deforestation.
That's a good point. And it's not just about what we buy. It's about spreading the word right.
Yeah. Tell your friends and family about the Bornean bearded pig.
Exactly.
Share what you've learned from this deep dive,
Get people talking.
The more people understand the importance of biodiversity, the better.
It's all connected, right?
It really is. So, yeah, knowledge, action, and sharing that knowledge. That's how we make a difference.
Great advice. So we've covered a lot of ground today. What would you say is the most important takeaway from our deep dive into the world of the Bornean bearded pig?
For me, it's realizing that even a creature As adaptable and resilient as this pig,
Right.
they're still vulnerable to human actions.
Yeah.
It's a wake-up call. We have to be more responsible with our choices.
Absolutely well said.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of the Bornean bearded pig.
Yeah, they're fascinating creatures.
We've learned about their unique habits, their importance in the ecosystem, and the threats they're facing.
It's a complex story.
It is, but it's a story that needs to be told, and we need to figure out what role we can play in ensuring their survival.
Couldn't agree more.
If the fate of the Bornean bearded pig is so closely tied to the rainforest and to the people who live there, it's a question we all need to consider.
Well said.
It's been an honor to have you on the show today, sharing your expertise.
My pleasure.
And for our listeners out there, if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the Bornean bearded pig, don't forget to subscribe to the All Sorts podcast on YouTube.
Here.
Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. We've got a whole library of fascinating topics waiting for you. Everything from the mysteries of the deep sea to the wonders of the cosmos. And be sure to connect with us on X, Instagram, and Threads for even more amazing content. Thanks for joining us on this adventure of discovery. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of our world.